At the end of this video, you will know exactly why you should run a webinar, how to do it, the best tools to set it up, and everything that you need to know when it comes to actually making more clients and closing more deals through webinar funnels. Okay, so to begin with, I think we should start by understanding very quickly why webinars are so much more useful than many other, funnel structures like IG stories, ads, regular ad campaigns, or, organic content. Obviously, the first thing that you need to understand is that webinars can help you build authority, because people are going to look at you once you hold a webinar through a lens of someone, with a certain respect, right? They're gonna look at you like you're the expert of what you're talking about consistently. So if you do these webinars repeatedly every single month, then you're going to build a lot of authority. Then also you're going to build a lot of trust as well. So there's gonna be authority and trust here, because obviously trust is built when you show up every single time for your leads, for your prospects, and for your customers. And if you do, webinars, then what happens is people are going to actually start getting used to the idea of you explaining stuff and being the expert, so you build trust eventually over time. And obviously, as a byproduct, if you have more authority and more trust, you also are going to be able to close more clients. Now onto the infrastructure and how to actually set up the whole funnel of the webinar, how to make it profitable, and how to actually make it a physical reality for your business. I think I should say digital, actually, not physical, but you get the point. Okay, so the first thing that I suggest is that you choose one of these two CRMs here. So these are CRMs, essentially softwares to build landing pages, funnels, and all these sort of advertising infrastructures. So I suggest you use either Go High Level. There should be a Go here. I don't know why they just say High Level, but Go High Level, or ClickFunnels 2.0. These are the two best CRMs because you can essentially integrate so many other features, so many other codes. You can integrate so many other popular CRMs that you may be using right now. You're not going to lose any sort of progress, and they're also very easy to use if you're not an expert in marketing, or even if you are. It's just simply going to make your job so much easier. So choose one of these two, and then we're going to proceed forward. So the whole structure includes 2 videos from Meta campaigns. You can also run them on YouTube or whatever platform you use. I personally am an expert on, essentially Meta ads, so Facebook and Instagram. So what I suggest is that you do 2 videos. I call them 2 ad sets, but these are actually just simply videos here. So you do 2 videos on the same campaign, explaining and talking about the benefits of your webinar. Obviously, you're gonna have to, have a script, a good hook, a good CTA, good promise, and good benefits and all that. You set that up, and you essentially have 2 videos that you're going to be running ad campaigns on. Then you want to connect to these 2 videos a simple 2-step funnel that includes essentially a main landing page and a registration page. So I'm going to write down RP, that stands for registration page here. I'm going to highlight it here. And also landing page, that's the LP that stands for landing page, obviously. So the landing page, the main landing page, should look something like this. Now this is in Italian because I'm personally Italian and work also in the Italian market, apart from the international market where you guys speak English, right? So essentially what you want to have in your main landing page is that you immediately want to highlight the time of your webinar, and obviously the date and the hour and all that stuff, right? So here it says Saturday 31st of May at 6 p.m. essentially. 18 is military clock. It should be 6 p.m. right? So here essentially you want to be having a on the landing page a call. You want to have a call out for your main prospects. So it's going to be either the main purpose of the webinar here, or the main target audience that you're targeting, they're calling it out. For example, if you are a coach, listen here, and that's a call out. Then you're going to have obviously the main benefit in the main call to action, in the main headline, and then at the end immediately you want to have a very big button to register to your webinar. And that has to be very big, and the first thing that anyone sees if he tries to skim the landing page. You can end the landing page there and make it a very small opt-in page, but what I like to do also, especially in this case, is add some other benefits of the landing page. For example, here I essentially put a bullet list through these essentially green checkbox. As you can clearly see, these green checkbox that I put here on the side. Here what I wanted to do was very simple. I just wanted to highlight the main topics that we essentially talked about in the webinar, and then essentially add some more context to the landing page. For example, here I also added the the main story of the personal fitness coach that I was working with, and also all other benefits and bonuses that I'm not going to show you here because otherwise this video is going to be too long, obviously, but other benefits regarding the webinar. Now, I didn't put it in these pictures, but in the landing page you want to have at least 2 call to action button here, and there's only one, but essentially the main concept is that you want to have 2. Maybe there should be one after the story, so maybe it doesn't show, but on the landing page it should be around here, right below this story section, and then once someone clicks that CTA button, is going to land on this pop-up. This pop-up includes essentially very simple pop-up, very simple form that includes name, surname or last name, email, and phone number. All of these 4 fields here are extremely important, and you're gonna understand why in a minute. Okay, once that prospect actually subscribes to your webinar, he's going to land on this registration page, the RP that I called earlier. Here is very simple. You just essentially say, all right, good, registration complete. We're going to be waiting for you at this time, and then essentially just thank them for registering, and that's it. That's the funnel. That is literally the infrastructure of the funnel. Has 2 landing pages, but now the hard part comes in the automations, not in the landing pages. So essentially follow me here. Okay, so this form in your essentially in your CRM, which could be Go High Level or ClickFunnels, is going to have a trigger and it's going to have a name. So you want to have a trigger here that is called essentially with the name of the form. In this case, I call the form workshop registration, but you can call it whatever you want. You can call it whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. The point is that you want to have a trigger here, and essentially through this trigger, essentially when the lead completes the form that obviously you gave a custom name for, is going to receive an action. Now here I set up the thing that I needed for the Pixel ID to essentially track down the people that subscribe to the webinar, and then you want to have an email follow-up. So the first email follow-up is going to simply be a confirmation email. Then once you're done with the confirmation email, where you just simply say, okay, registration complete, we're going to simply wait for you on in this case, we're talking about the 31st of May, although I'm recording this on the 4th of June, but you get the point, right? Essentially just tell them that you're waiting at that date and that registration is complete and that you thank them a lot for registering. It doesn't have to be very complicated. Then you want to add a tag here. And this tag is very important because you're going to filter out the people in your contacts that you obviously are going to track down through your CRM. You're going to have a tag that is called workshop contact, or whatever you want to call it. I called it workshop contacts because it was pretty easy to track down. And then from here, you want to have essentially timed out emails, because obviously there's various options to time out the emails. You can usually use a clock, which is like wait time, but since that does not allow you to send, for example, an email specifically at a certain time, at a certain hour, you want to add what's called calendar event or something like that. And this allows you to send an action immediately at that specific time. So you want to have, for example, in this case, an email 3 days before the webinar, 1 day before the webinar, 50 minutes before the webinar, and then exactly at the launch start of the webinar, or maybe 2 minutes before you actually start running the live event, right? And in order to do that, you want to set up, for example, here, you set up through the calendar, the date of the email that should arrive 3 days before. In this case, 28th of May. Then 3 days earlier you have the email here. Then here is going to be 1 day before. In Italian it means un giorno prima. Here in Italian means 1 day before. So here is going to be the 30th of May here. So 5. Then the email of the day before, and then we're gonna have the 15-minute before. And essentially through this option here of the calendar, you can also choose the time at which you want to send the email. In this case, it's, as you can clearly see, 5:45 p.m. I don't know why this pen does not allow me to write down more efficiently. So I was saying 5:45 p.m. here, right? And then you're gonna have the email 15 minutes before, and here you want to actually send out either the link or to access to the webinar room. Essentially, it could be through Zoom, or if you have an option with ClickFunnels to create a live room for your webinar immediately in the CRM, you're gonna have a link directly to that. But we're gonna talk about this right after the automations, actually, because essentially what you want to have here is the link to access your webinar. Doesn't matter what platform you're using, as long as there's a link, right? And then at the end, you're going to have obviously the launch email here, which is sent. I put it like 2 minutes before the webinar. So if the webinar starts at 6, I want to send it at 5:58, for example, with obviously another follow-up with the link, essentially, right?
And then there's the launch email. In addition to all of this, to launch the webinar, what I like to do is also send through the CRM a WhatsApp automation with the link, because it can essentially improve the show up rate. It actually improves a lot the show up rate. And that is very, very important if you want to close more clients, right? So essentially what you want to do is you want to set up through either GoHighLevel or ClickFunnels, you want to select all the contacts that went through your automation with the tag workshop contacts, select a bulk action, and then from there select send WhatsApp automation, and from there set up the time at which you want to send this automation, and it's going to be like at the time of the webinar. And then in this automation you essentially leave the link, and now you know exactly why it was very important to have the phone number here. Now, once that is done, right, what you want to do is you want to actually, create your webinar room. Now, if you have ClickFunnels, you can pretty much create a webinar room from scratch, right, from your webinar funnels immediately. But if you don't have ClickFunnels, what I suggest you do is that you use Zoom, right? So Zoom here to run your webinars. It's very simple. You have to buy the Zoom Pro program and then also add the webinar add-on right here. And essentially it's going to cost you, I think, around $81 a month, something like that. That should be the price, right? And this essentially allows you to create the room, create create everything that you need, the waiting room, you can also run test webinars beforehand, so you can test within yourself if the system works. And then from there you're gonna generate the link, and from Zoom you're gonna put it into the different automations. So it's going to be the email automations here 15 minutes before, and also the launch email, and also the WhatsApp message. Zoom allows you to actually pre-record the webinar, but if you don't, I suggest you use any sort of free program that you can find on the internet to record your screen. And once that is done, you want to save the replay of your webinar, and then you want to send it as a replay to all of your all the people that actually registered, not just the people who participated to the webinar. You want to actually send it to all the people who registered via a WhatsApp automation and Gmail automation here. And you can do this all through the CRM by still selecting the workshop contacts from the automation, right? Which are these, right? And then right after the webinar is done, you want to upload your webinar replay either on Google Drive or on YouTube in a private section, and then send the link in the automation of the replay by saying something like, "You participated to the webinar, we're very, very grateful. If you didn't and you still want to review the content, here's the link," essentially. And that's about it. I made it very, very simple for you guys, but if you have a very, very big audience to leverage, or you simply have a very, very active audience, it doesn't have to be big, but it might be very, very loyal to you. If you want to leverage your audience with a new angle, with a new strategy, you should implement these tips right here to run webinar funnels, to improve your authority, close more clients, and essentially build more trust with your leads and with your prospect. I hope you found this video useful. Subscribe to not miss on future tips about marketing and funnels and any sort of ads, tips that I'm going to give out in the future. And thank you very, very much for watching.